Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Open Book. I am Billy Price, co-founder of BILLY Footwear, and I am so delighted to be the host today. You know, we as a brand have had the opportunity to collaborate with so many wonderful nonprofit organizations. And today we get to talk to one more of those nonprofit organizations. And oftentimes, you know, these nonprofits, they come into existence because of like a personal story. And it's a situation where if we want change to happen, we're going to be the change. So today, joining me on screen, we have both Katie and LaMay. They represent the Acute Flaccid Myelitis Association. I'll let them explain it. It's a tongue twister for me. But LaMay, she is on the she's more of a communications liaison. And then we have Katie, who is one of the founders that put it together. So without further ado, thank you, ladies, for joining us today.
Thank you for having us.
Yes, thank you for having us, Billy.
So LaMay, if you could, I guess I'll kind of hand it to you first. If you could kind of talk about kind of some of the foundation and how the association kind of came into existence.
Yeah, absolutely. It's my pleasure. And thank you so much, Billy, for having us today. We're so grateful and excited about the partnership. I think with that being said, how it really came about was a little bit of backstory. Obviously, acute flaccid myelitis is rare, but it's rare and real. And, you know, back in 2015, there were a group of mothers who actually found each other on the internet. And they went ahead and created a Facebook group, a private Facebook group and a public group to ultimately try to help our community come together. And so that we had a place to go to. And so, you know, then moving forward, I think it was in November of 2018, a group of us parents got together. And because of the way that AFM is, it sort of spirals out of control. It's caused by a virus, and it sort of spirals out of control every 2 years, even years. And so because there's no cure and that kind of thing, you know, as parents, basically we got together and we decided we're going to make a trip to Washington, D.C. and, you know, speak to our local legislators and really just be a voice, right, for our community and try to put things into action so that we could see change and so that we could see awareness and so that we could move forward and help other families and so that they knew that they weren't alone. And we were going to fight for every piece of it. So that's exactly what we did. We went and we fought. We had, there was a parent within the group that was able to get us a meeting with the CDC. And so we actually met with one of the deputy directors there, and there was 13 of us, and we met with them. And really from that moment on, we really did make a difference. Things rapidly started to change for our community. And so really, honestly, forums like this and whatnot really give us an opportunity to just be a voice, to take a stand, to share our experiences. And, you know, honestly, the amount of gratitude that we walk away from when we walked away from that back in 2018 was huge. Really from there, then the director of the CDC put into action what they call Acute Flaccid Myelitis Task Force, AFM Task Force for short. And that's where a group of doctors have come together, and we're really seeing a difference. Things are, I mean, potentially we could have a cure. Right now we're working on different protocols to help, because as you'll learn with AFM, it's like across the board sort of different, but yet the same, the way that it affects child or adults, because it does affect adults as well. And so it's a virus that attacks the spinal cord. And so, you know, and you know all about that spinal cord injury, right? And so, but, so all of those wonderful things really began to happen. But, you know, then as we got home, we have Katie here and her husband, John Paul, and, you know, they've really been through it. I mean, she'll go into those details. But with that being said, I feel like, we got home and her husband, they did an amazing thing for our community. And, all on behalf of their son, Alex. And I really want to turn it over to her and so that she can really share her story and why the AFMA came about.
Yeah.
So without further ado,
Oh, well, thank you.
Katie.
So our son was 5 when he got sick on Christmas Eve, and that's Alex. And it was 2016, so the end of 2016. And it went from he couldn't move his thumb to basically he couldn't move his upper body by that evening. And we were in the emergency room and they're doing MRIs and all of these tests, and no one knew what it was. So he was admitted, and by the end of the next day, he was having trouble breathing. And within 3 days of that, I believe he was intubated. And so we're just watching our little boy melt in front of us, and doctors can't give us answers. They don't know what it is. It might be this, it might be that. They just didn't know. So we didn't really get a diagnosis until, like a solid diagnosis, until a couple weeks in. And then the doctors didn't even know where to look. They're trying to do online research, and we had one doctor that said, I think I may have found what it is, but it was just the resources available. I mean, we were dealing with this just like mystery, horrible virus. So essentially, just because of that, and Alex was never able to breathe on his own again. And he was essentially paralyzed from the waist up. He could move his left forearm, and that's about it. So he got hit very, very hard. He was on a ventilator full time, and even that was a struggle. We were saving his life multiple times a day until, one day we couldn't. And so we lost him in the spring of 2018. And it was obviously devastating because that was a year and a half of him just struggling to just exist. So, unfortunately, I didn't find the parents group until later on in his diagnosis, maybe just 6 months before he passed away. But they were such a resource to me because the doctors didn't know anything. And so I got admitted to the Facebook group. And so it was at this point where I'd get things from the Facebook group and go to my doctors and say, I want this. I want you guys to look at this and that. So we were just fighting for him, fighting for equipment, fighting for surgeries, fighting for therapy. And then, ultimately we lost him. And then we got invited to this DC trip. Well, at this point we're used to fighting. So we're like, yeah, we're going. So we went and we met with this amazing group of parents who had all kind of experienced the same thing, where it's your child gets this mystery ailment and just kind of dissolves before your eyes, and the medical community can't help you. And we had a discussion. I remember the night before we went to the Capitol and just said, how is this possible that there's nothing official to help us with this? Outside of the CDC, which they didn't know anything. They had heard about it a few years back and didn't do anything. So when we got home, my husband has spent his career working in nonprofits, and myself, I'm a CPA, so we're kind of business minded. And we said we need to do something. So we reached out to a few of the parents that we had met in DC and who were kind of on the same page with us. I think everyone was on the same page that we need to establish something to help people that go through this, because it happens so suddenly and you don't have a resource. Yeah. And so I think we went to DC in December, and by February we had formed AFMA. And our main goal there was, as LaMay mentioned, to spread awareness. And then we also want to just provide some sort of resource of information for parents going through this, and then also support. Because not only is it devastating to see your child go through that and your heart is broken, they're in pain, they're struggling. It's expensive because it hadn't been established. And insurance companies say, what? You need what now? Why do you need that? And so we had to fight for so many things, just, things to clean his trach or certain braces and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And it adds up. And if you don't have the financial resources to help your child, I mean, you're going to do whatever you can for your baby. And so we just wanted to provide this community and the people that we knew would be coming down the pipeline with some place to go where they could feel support, and both financially and emotionally and on a knowledge basis. So that was our goal in founding it. And it kind of got bigger quicker than we expected. And which is, good and bad, because it's bad because that means there are more children diagnosed. But I'm hopeful that we have provided a place of comfort and knowledge and financial aid for people that need it and have to go through this. It's just a horrible experience.
Wow. Well, I mean, so first off, Katie, thank you so much for sharing. I mean, and LaMay as well. I mean, there's a couple of things that it never ceases to amaze me how strong the human body is, and yet how incredibly fragile it is.
Yeah.
And then that said, it never ceases to amaze me how strong and how resilient we are when we're working as a community. So you're talking about bringing it together and having the community, and then just the awareness and just the growth and just wanting to be able to, pay that unfortunate experience forward, but not to have other people have the same experience. I mean, what you guys are doing is absolutely incredible. I mean, there's just the depth of emotion to be able to pull this thing together and move forward is just, I mean, there's a lot there. I mean, I think it's absolutely incredible what you guys are doing.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, it's a labor of love, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know, like, for instance, a prime example is, while I was sitting in the PICU with Cambria, because she too was a worst case scenario. So she was neck down, paralyzed, on a ventilator. Her diaphragm had paralyzed within 15 hours. And she did die multiple times. But what I had thought while I was sitting in that little room being told that she had acute flaccid myelitis, I felt overwhelmed with the fact that, number one, I didn't know what it was. And I, had sort of prided myself as a parent to know everything about, what's new, what's, whatever the case may be. And so that was shocking. And I knew right then and there that I didn't want another family faced with that, and that it would be important to advocate moving forward. And that was something that was just instilled in me from the moment moving forward. And so I think that those types of things, when it happens to you, whether you're a 1 in a million, 2 in a million, whatever it is, it changes you, right? And it gives you the energy to move forward and handle it. And so at least it did for me. And it sort of just makes you a warrior at making change and evolving and being, getting the word out, being inclusive, all of those things.
Yeah. Well, I will say that just taking a visit of your website, I mean, it speaks to that spirit and that community and wanting to get the word out. So I think this would be a good time to plug your website. What is your website?
So we're at afmanow.org. And we have a whole variety of resources. We have facilities and articles, personal stories, and then also we have an application for grants. So if you are in need of financial assistance, I mean, that's, when we raise money, it goes directly to families. This is a community effort. We're all volunteers on this. We work really hard, but we don't take any of the money that is donated to us. It all goes to families. And as LaMay mentioned too, I think everybody gets hit differently. You'll see one child and it's just their arm. And then
Yeah.
you'll see another child and they can't move from the neck down and they're on a ventilator.
Yeah.
So the grants that we've given are also very diverse. You know, sometimes someone just needs an e-stim machine so that they can do at-home therapy. Whereas I think our most recent one, we helped them with the payment of, they had to renovate their bathroom so that their little boy could take a bath because he had been doing bed baths for years. So, you know, we also, we're very open with the grants as to what you need, because we understand that what you need may not be written down on the acceptable insurance list.
Yeah.
And so we do get, you know, it's a very nice position to be into when you give out grants, because I get to reach out and actually talk to these families, and you know, you hear their stories and everyone's story is so different.
Yeah.
But it's, you know, it's nice to be able to help others. It's kind of, you know, a selfish giving on my part, I guess, because it feels good to connect with other people and to be able to give them what they need
Yeah.
when we can.
It's amazing.
Well, I gotta say, I'm so honored that you guys reached out to us. I mean, we have, for those listening in and watching, we have a collaboration going with the AFMA, where when people purchase shoes, they're able to get the shoes at discount, but also there's a mechanism that puts money back into the AFMA as a donation, because with any nonprofit, if you're going to give money, you need to have money. So, you know, it's that's kind of the lifeblood coming in. So we're honored to be partnered with you guys. So thank you for the opportunity.
Oh, we're so happy to be partners with you. I think it'll be great for both of us. And LaMay texted me and said, "We got our first order."
I know.
This morning. I'm
So excited. And
yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, can you touch on how we landed on your radar? I don't know if I ever learned that story.
Yeah. So, okay. So basically, you know, obviously your shoes play a critical role in our community. And so oftentimes our children are in braces, and, you know, it's really difficult to find shoes that are easy. You know, I think the biggest thing is that I want to mention is when you have a disabled child, or even being an adult, things change dramatically, right? So if you are just getting dressed is it's not as a simple task anymore. It's, you know, everything changes in that respect. And so things get a little bit more hard, or a little more tough and challenging. And so your shoe actually brings some relief. It's like you just slide them on, you zip them on, and that's it. It's very simple. It's an easy fit. And so for communities like ours, it's amazing. And so I had been sort of, you know, obviously I follow you on your Instagram, and I had, you know, I sort of tag you when I have Cammie out at the playground, or, you know, whatever we're doing. She's generally in her Billy shoes, and she wears her brace. And so, because she has asymmetrical paralysis, so she's a quadriplegic, but she's able to walk with her bracing, which is amazing. And I just had sort of been mowing over that I wanted to connect with you. I wanted to see if we could collaborate together. And, you know, so one evening I just thought, you know, instead of emailing or trying to call, or how do you do it? I thought, I'm just going to reach out via, what do you say? Like the IG instant messaging. And so I did. And then from there, everything's just sort of came together, and I was so pleasantly surprised, and I was so excited. Me and Cammie were like jumping up and down, and it was like bedtime too when I saw it for her. And we were like so excited. And so then, yeah, from there, I mean, I'm just so grateful that you guys were even willing to look at my message, for that matter. So yeah, that's how it sort of happened, and now here we are.
Yeah, that's so awesome. Well, I'm so happy you reached out. I mean, those messages, you know, we love to celebrate success stories, right? And oftentimes those success stories come from hardship, but they're successes nonetheless, and we celebrate those. And it's amazing how, again, the word community, we bring all those successes together it truly is amazing what we can all accomplish. So it's just awesome. You know, you guys, I just really thank you for your time today. I mean, this is what you guys are doing. Again, this is absolutely incredible. But before we sign off, I just wanted to give you the mic one more time to just kind of share what's on your heart. I mean, there's so many things that I'm sure that you guys have going within the organization, and success stories of your own through members and stuff. But I just wanted to give you each a kind of open mic opportunity to kind of share whatever you'd like. So LaMay, let's start with you.
Okay. I think that together we win is super important, and it's my mantra. And so again, just grateful for you, Billy, and your everything that you do, and all that you do for communities like ours. And you know, in September, it's really important. We actually have a National AFM Awareness Day, and so hopefully this year, because last year it started, or this past year it started, but we were in the middle of a pandemic. So I'm, you know, hopeful that September 23rd, 2021, we can really, again, raise awareness for acute flaccid myelitis. And if you're watching this right now and you're interested in finding out more, you can always visit the CDC website, and you would just type in your search engine, AFM CDC, and it'll pop right up. And so again, just thank you for all that you do. And I'm just grateful to be here.
Yeah, thanks. Katie?
I'm just happy. I mean, this to me is another just benchmark in growing and establishing something that's so much bigger than ourselves. And as you said, without community, we can't do that. We started this just because we didn't want Alex's death to be for no reason. And so my hope is that we can help enough families and people where it really does make a difference on, you know, a national, a global scale. So, and these kinds of partnerships and, you know, collaborating and growing and that kind of exposure just helps us to accomplish that. So I'm thankful for this partnership, and I'm thankful for everyone's responses. And if you do go to our website and you see something missing or you don't see what you're looking for, please reach out and send an email, because we are open to suggestion. You know, we want to provide what people need. And if it's not there, I hope that people would reach out and respond. So.
Wow, perfectly said. I mean, through technology, it truly is incredible how small the world is becoming. I mean, if we create the platforms through the websites, through Instagram, through Facebook, just through like live broadcasts like this, I mean, it's amazing how a conversation on the West Coast of the United States can really reach all corners of the globe. And together on a global scale, I mean, it's all community. It all rolls up into community, and we're all swimming in the same lane. It's, you know, we can really move mountains.
Yeah.
Yes.
Agreed.
Definitely.
Well, thank you again, ladies. Thank you again so much for your time. Everyone else that was listening in today, this was another episode of Open Book. We will have another one next week. So until then, take care.